Day 87, 90, 45, and I still haven't destroyed and mutilated an entire country. And the guys still don't like me. Hey, look, Shin, baby, what you need is them joints. All the kids love joints these days, and if you had some balls on you, you'd be the cat's ass. Oh, get some balls? What about swivels and hinges? Yeah, those two. Let's see what we can get for you, big guy. So, I'm sitting ready to eat this whale, and I just, holy mother of God, what in Honda's name is that? Hi everyone, like the new look? No, good lord, what get G14 in here, Zach, get him in here. Hey, what's the holy Edwards? Oh, I know just the thing for this. There, that's better. Oh yeah, this works fine too. You guys want to go destroy Korea or something? No, I can't see you guys. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go a city by myself then. Hello, collectors. It's Steven here with a review of the MonsterArts Godzilla 2016. After being dormant in Japan since Final Wars in 2004, Godzilla returns to the screen in a way never before imagined, and fans were kind of divided. Some loved the new take, others hated it, and it's carried over to this MonsterArts Godzilla. Collectors are split with drastic changes from the prototype, with some lamenting their purchase already and trying to get rid of it, while others are hailing it to be one of the best figures in the line. Where do I stand? Whoo boy, hide the kitties, because we're going to get a saddened fanboy's view on whether or not you should add this to your collection. First up, I want to talk about something positive, so we're looking at the box. Stunning. I really didn't give it enough credit in my unboxing video, but I am truly in love with this box. The box has a fantastic shelf presence, at least on the store shelf, of course, and really gives the feel of value to the product you're buying, with a promotional shot on the front and the window on the back. The box mimics the movie poster in some ways, in that we get a dark still on a red background. Great connection to the actual movie. For you youngins in the MonsterArts lane, we used to get really impressive boxes with a similar presentational style, but now we get these cool kid 3 edgy 5Me boxes with slash marks all over them and whatnot. Not horrible, but you can clearly see which products just seem better by the box. Now let's start the shit show. Takeya and some others on the design team for the actual monster were brought on to the sculpt and to supervise the figure, but even then there are a few inaccuracies, most specifically in the head and the thighs. The prototype showed us a figure with somewhat questionable red paint apps on the body and iffy teeth with a glossy finish. Somehow, on the final product, every small issue the prototype had got kicked up by at least 10. Some are dismissive of this hot mess of the looks by saying he's supposed to be awful looking, but by that logic, a mud puddle would also fit the bill. Believe it or not, there is controlled chaos to the design you see in the movie. Anyway, the head. We are damn near 5 years to the date since the line began, and Bandai still cannot give us correct eyes on Godzilla. Some point in 2 different directions, some are okay. But now the point is, the eyes on Shin in the movie, yes, they are kind of googly, but they're centered and symmetrical on both sides of the head, and it looks natural. Here, it just looks stupid, and this is what I mean. If Shin's eyes were like this, or this, it'd be fine, but instead we get this. And for some reason, there are some out there who don't get that the actual design's eyes don't look like this. Hopefully this comparison helps. Now, taking this close look at Shin's head, you got a nice look at that ugly seam line going around his lips and the teeth, which they just don't look good at all. But what's also not very good is the mouth. It looks very wet and slimy. Now, I know it's a mouth, saliva, but it looks like they took some of that fake water diorama material and they put it in there. Yeah, not very good. What's also not very good is the neck. It shows a lack of effort with this lack of blending in the red of any way. It just sticks out and it looks very unprofessional. Continuing down, this is how the rest of his body is. Similar to Burning Godzilla, Shin Godzilla has red patches all over his body, and in some spots like on the thighs and the chest, they're very pronounced in the design. Not here. The whole figure looks like this red and black wash thrown together at the same time, and it doesn't look great in even the best lighting situations. It's just not accurate.
He also looks really wet, which isn't attractive. Now, the reason for this is he's made of a reddish pinkish plastic, which you can see at the tip of the tail, and he has a black wash to him. That's right, instead of filling the crevices and so forth with red, the right color, they did it with black. That is factually an inaccuracy regardless of how you view the figure. His claw paint is pretty bad too, with no shading at all. Just look at those toes. Now, when we look at the hands, oh boy, you saw the orange little fuzz there from the unboxing video. The lack of true effort here for this price point is mind-boggling. The next two parts show some quality of the figure. The dorsal plates feature red, which is applied exceptionally well. That's one of the things about the MonsterArts line as a whole I feel was kept well here. The plates always look nice. And as we move down the plates, let's take a look at the tail. The tail actually looks very nice, though some say it's a bit too short. I mostly agree, but at the end of the day, you still get a nice looking tail. The tip is pretty well done, it looks very raw, and you can even see the alleged mouth on the tail. Mwahaha. I really like this part, though as a whole, this just doesn't look like the prototype at all. It's not very accurate to the source material either, despite the fact that they had access to the exact same files that were used for the movie. Very disappointing. Now, I know some of you are going to come at me with the approach of, well, it's not that bad. Of course, it's not as good as the prototype, or whatever sort of moot argument you would like to make. So, here's proof the paint is pretty crappy. Here are some pictures of some other cheaper figures Bandai has made with even better paint applications. You can't escape this one saying that the paint is fine because... No. The drop in quality is objective, and why they're able to hit the mark on these lower figures, but not Shin, is very questionable. Shin's articulation is actually pretty nice, and you'll see why. So first off, we have the head. It has two ball joints for the jaw. So we have the top part here, which likes to move around, and we have the bottom part here, so this way you can spread his mouth really wide. Now, one of the problems with this... yeah, we just sort of get this gaping hole in the mouth where it kind of looks like he doesn't have a throat at all. Going down, windpipe and digestive pipe. Yeah, got this gap. No piece of sculpt could have been added in there, huh? But anyway, yeah, you can get some really neat derpy poses like that out of Kermit here. So the head attaches into this portion of the neck on a ball joint. So you can move it around a little bit if you want. Then we have this portion of the neck plugs into here on a ball joint, and then this portion of the neck plugs into the body on a ball joint. So you're going to be able to get some nice movement there, but keep in mind, mine is very loose, and it likes to pop off. So your movement may be limited if yours is the same. But with those two neck joints, as you can see here, you can get some really interesting poses out of Shin from the neck up, which is very, very nice. The arms have some pretty nice articulation too, at least for what we have. We have these two tumors for the shoulders, which are on ball joints. And as you can see here, you can twist and turn them a little bit. You can rock them forward and back. They're very, very large. And the problem with that is you may grind them up against the actual sculpt of the body, and you might cause some damage. So be careful there. And then we have a bicep swivel, which is a ball joint. As you can see here, you can wiggle it around if you would like. Then we have ball jointed elbows, which give you a hinge and swivel movement, which is nice, as you can see there. Then the wrists also are ball joints, so you can twist Shin's little hands around, and you can spin them, and all the normal things you would do with ball jointed wrists. So even though they're small, we do get some nice movement out of them. For the main body articulation, we have a ball joint for this portion of the body and a ball joint in the lower portion of the body. So I guess you might say the ab crunch in the waist. But as you can see here, everybody who hates gaps is definitely going to complain about this big one right here. However, yeah, the neck falling off. I think it's pretty acceptable considering the range of movement this Godzilla gets. And as you can see here, it's not like the articulation is bad, because once you factor in the neck joints and whatnot, you get some really sick poses like this. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I just used sick unironically. But yeah, we get a nice range of movement here at the waist. We can twist and turn Shin around as much as you'd want. It looks very nice, and I'm very, very happy to see that the articulation here is very, very good. Next up, we have the legs, and it's pretty standard fare for a Godzilla. We have ball-jointed hips, so you can spin them around, move them in and out like so. The thinner thighs here, I think, is due to the fact that this is an action figure, and if you're going to be moving the legs around, it might grind into the sculpt and cause a whole lot of damage, and I think they learned from the first Godzilla that released in this line that you can't necessarily do huge, thick thighs for all of your Godzillas, right? We have hinge knees, forward and back. We get a little bit of a swivel to them, so they're more than likely ball joints or swivel hinges, but that's okay. As you can see here, move them around. And then for the ankles, which are actually up here, we get ball joints. So you can twist and you can turn them there on their own. And you can get some nice movement out of them. You can really spread Shin's legs far if you want, just sort of like that. Let's focus that in there once more. So that's pretty nice. It's very, very, very good to see that the articulation wasn't necessarily compromised on this figure. Last up for articulation, we have the very, very long tail. Now, I think this is one of the best Godzilla tails in the line, and I also think it's one of the, not worst, but it could be better. Why is that? Every segment here, all the way up to the tip, this little part, even of itself, is articulated. There are ball joints. As you can see here, and you'll see better in the sizing section, you can get Godzilla's tail to be up perfectly straight, very close to the actual design in the movie, or you can get it to turn over all the way like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But what's not pretty cool is that because it's well sculpted and it has all of these ridges, it's very easy to pop certain sections apart. And relatively speaking, it is very, very heavy. So I could imagine over time, there might be some drooping of the tail. If it's not adequately supported, like maybe you just have it hanging off of the shelf instead of being on the shelf. But in general, I think the ball joint should hold up for a long time. So you're going to have a lot of fun with this tail. Just be mindful, it is heavy, and at certain points, if you're very rough with it, you might have certain parts pop off. This is a problem spot for me. I don't know if it is for anyone else. Could just be a simple quality control issue, but nevertheless. Something to be very, very mindful of. When you're moving the tail, should something pop off like that, and you go to put it back on or whatever, make sure you're being careful. Why? If you're moving the tail around like that, or let's say at another problem spot for mine, near the base, and it pops off, and you're not careful, and your thumb hits the dorsal plates, you will bleed. It's happened to me. You can sort of see the wound there on my thumb healing. So yeah, be very, very, very mindful of what you're doing with the tail. So, I like the tail, long story short, and overall, I think the articulation on this Godzilla is pretty solid. Not the best, but for what we get, this guy can move. And for effects, nothing. That's right. For about $130, more than likely more on your end now, because it's the aftermarket, we get just the figure. Sure, it's big, but there's no flame effect, drones, coolant tanks, beam effects, nothing. Admittedly, some of those might be best suited for a Spitfire variant, but we should have gotten something else with this figure. Fortunately, though, there are other effect parts you can use from other releases which work fine enough. And here's a size comparison for you. Like I said, he's one big son of a bitch. If you've cleared out some shelf space, you might want to clear out some more, because that tail length, ooh, that can definitely hog a shelf on its own. So, buy, skip, or wait for a deal. I'm gonna be honest, your mileage may vary on the looks, because some think it came out fine enough. And it is what it is, but citing the eyes, claws, paint blending, plastic, I have to disagree. Articulation is nicely executed, but the mouth joints result in it's awful looking, I'm going to be honest. Let me make something absolutely clear here. The figure that we get functions well enough, and for some, you'll get your money's worth based on your own preference. However, for what was advertised and what we got, there was a total bait and switch in terms of quality, and it seems like a rushed figure in almost every aspect. If you look at it even, the head sculpt actually looks pretty normal and accurate when his mouth is wide open. And the Hobby Japan statue that everyone saw that they thought was a Spitfire version has an open mouth. Maybe the initial sculpt was open mouth and they just decided to engineer it to be closed for the action figure. I don't know. The moral of the story is Bandai needs to slow down and go back to focusing on nailing the quality for their releases. Ever since the first major screw-up in this line, the 2014 Godzilla, New Sculpts seem to have something wrong with them, whether it's paint quality, loose joints, or something else. Especially everything that's come out in 2016 so far. And this one is just the icing on the cake. I can only recommend this figure to die-hard Shin fanboys who have the money to spend. I'm seeing a lot of post-purchase rationalizing, with some saying it's not that bad, or sure, it's bad and people are overreacting and things like that. When it comes to your purchase, be informed. Look at pictures, listen to what I'm saying, and don't get caught up in the hype. Once you're sure, make your purchase, or don't. Knowing what I know now about it, and assuming no review expectations from everyone here, I don't know if I would have made the purchase. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below to share your thoughts. If you're interested in picking this figure up, or others like it, check the description for some cool links to take you where you need to go. Why don't you watch some more videos? Click the annotations on the screen now for more great content. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next video.